and Jordan is joining us. Jordan, I am so happy that you're here. And
Thank you.
let me see. Are you in like a gangster setup right now? Let me see what you look like.
Yeah. Well, I'm just yeah. I can take my hat off, but I'd rather be kept warm. Yeah. So I got my gangster set up because I'm about to go to New York City and volunteer in some of the kind of fever clinics out there. So I put a little fever clinic background uh, behind me.
Yeah.
I,
So you're going to New York because they need more doctors. We're seeing Cuomo saying, "Hey, things are looking good."
Yeah, well, that's what he's saying. But when you speak with the CEO of a New York Presbyterian, Columbia, and Cornell, they need a lot of people. A lot of the doctors are going down, nurses are going down. I think they overstaffed up in the ICU, so they need less ICU doctors per se. I opened up a practice in Manhattan about a year ago, and in preparation for that, I had to get medically licensed in New York. Never realizing that I'd get an email from Cuomo saying we need anybody licensed in New York to come out and help out. So I am throwing my hat in the ring and leaving tomorrow morning.
Wow. Okay. So let's real quick. When I met you, you created a concierge medical practice, and a lot of my very successful friends use you on a regular basis. So can you explain real quick what Health Loop is and what you've created on
So
and on your medical practice?
yeah. So I, by way of brief background, medical doctor, internal medicine, started a practice in 2003, trying to solve the problem of healthcare being about health and not about sickness. Most healthcare systems and most reasons you go see the doctors because you have a problem. Very few times do you go see the doctor because you're well and say, I want to maintain this health quotient, so to speak. So anyway, so we started a practice in San Francisco 20 years ago. Now we have offices in Beverly Hills, Silicon Valley, Manhattan, San Francisco. We take care of families. Our goal is to be proactive and keep you out of the medical system. We're more if we protect you from all the shit that happens in the healthcare system.
Right.
And we ask you to look deeply at your body. And I think that this whole COVID thing is compressing a lot of the things that I've been talking about over time, which is, I'm guessing people on this group here make investments. They put their money to work. And whenever anybody makes an investment, what do? They look at their investment on a regular basis. How's it doing? You look at the stock quotes. But we seem to forget that we're all just appreciating assets ourselves and our physical asset. And we don't look at the data about ourselves nearly as often as we do about our investments. And so if you actually invested in your health, you could, and looked at the data all the time, you'd have a real clear view on how you're doing. And what COVID's doing is it's showing people who are not healthy lifestyle wise and not looking at their data, it's coming to get you. If you have metabolic syndrome, if you have hypertension, if you have cardiovascular disease, all these things that you don't even know you have because you're not looking for them and you're not measuring them. Candidly, this is the time where I think everyone needs to get real smart about what's going on inside. Because if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't bleed, it doesn't cause you anxiety, and you can't see it, like you just figure everything's fine. But the truth is
Jordan, tell me real quick about psychosomatics. So I constantly feel like I have COVID because I may have coughed a few times, or I have chest fatigue. Right now, so many people are saying, "Oh, I better go get a test," and then find out they have nothing. Where actually somebody in our group, I know, has recently had COVID, but even the test came out showing that they didn't, but there's a 30% false positive on this.
false negative.
False negative, excuse me. Yeah, there's 30% on that.
Right.
So telltale signs, something that we could definitely say, I have an issue and I probably don't need to get tested. I have it. What are those symptoms for sure?
So first of all, let's zoom out one click real quick, which is we need to do a lot more testing. Even if there's false negatives, it's very accurate if it's true. So if you have a positive test, it's 99% chance that it's true, that you have it. And so I would say if anybody has symptoms, and the symptoms that usually get my attention or the attention of doctors is fever, dry cough. Diarrhea is a common symptom, by the way, a starting symptom that people haven't really thought about much. And then there's everything from sore throat to loss of smell to loss of taste. There's really a basket of symptoms, and there is no one, I have this or I must have COVID. It's if you feel shitty, then now's the time that you have the flu season's kind of going down. So there's less flus out there now. And so if you've been socially isolating and you've been really, really good about it, like physical distancing, let me put a fine point on that. It would be highly unlikely that you could catch it de novo in your house without seeing anybody. So then you have to ask yourself, who have I been around? And by the way, if you're out walking around, you should be wearing a face cover. It's not because some piece of COVID is going to come in your lungs randomly. It's because you don't know when someone's going to turn the corner and walk right in front of you and cough. And
Yeah, but
so,
how about mail, getting packages, getting things that are delivered? You don't know how that was prepared or packaged.
right.
Could
So
it
we
be on
we
those?
we know we know that COVID can live on cardboard for up to 36 hours. So I think Amazon's getting smart and having people wear gloves. That still doesn't solve the problem. But what we do at our house is we open up the box outside the house, take the contents out of the box, and leave the box outside. And then in a couple days, we go and break down the boxes if you have a house where you can do that, or just leave it outside your front door because in 2 days those boxes are not going to have anything on them. And then we generally take the stuff out of the box, and assuming that it's probably not been touched for a couple days because COVID can live on metal surfaces for 3 days, 4 days. Wash it down and don't be stupid.
All right. And then here, last question real quick. A cocktail that we can take right now just to make sure our immunity is up and going great. What is that cocktail? What would you suggest?
I tell people, and especially these times, I know that I saw Jenga's a big selling game, is you should never set an alarm clock to wake up. That's the most important thing you could do. Set an alarm clock to go to bed, because the humans are the only species that artificially interrupt a really important biological process called sleep. And the immune system gets its biggest squeeze out of boost in that last hour of sleep. So if you're an 8-hour sleeper, set the alarm clock to go to bed so you can wake up and, when you need to. So that's number one. Is sleep is probably the single most important thing you can do. Number two is vitamin D. I bet 90% of the people on this call don't even know what their vitamin D levels are, but I bet 90% of the people have like low-ish vitamin Ds on this call. Even if you go out in the sun a lot, some people just don't produce vitamin D. So I'm taking 5,000 units a night after dinner every night.
Is that the best time to do it at night?
It's the best time to do it is after eating. It's not, you should never
After.
do it in the morning because it's a fat soluble vitamin. Vitamin C doesn't matter. It's not fat soluble. So I take vitamin C and D both at night. And then, there is a lot of research on zinc now coming out that zinc, but the problem with the zinc story is if you feel sick, you have to take like 75 milligrams of zinc, and that's a ton, and you'll get sick, and you probably need to take anti-nausea medicines. But, taking low levels of zinc every day, it can't hurt either because it just decreases the rate at which viruses go intracellular. It's a kind of lands on one of the receptors.
Jordan, you're putting a lot of effort and work into your own special reports. How can we find those?
Yeah, so if you go to jordansdispatch.com and sign up, I'm actually working on dispatch number 7. It's jordansdispatch.com. My sister put that up. Yeah, and I'm trying to give a high level overview. And let me just say that I think that what I'm going to really hammer hard on this next one, and I'll give you guys a preview, is everybody wants the serology test. Everybody's got a finger prick test coming down. Everyone's got a friend that's going to promote it. And I'm just telling you that all these tests right now are garbage. And I wouldn't even do them, because if you think 70% or 76% false negative rate is high, these tests have really high false positives and false negatives. And true positives and true negatives are super low. And so I know there's a bunch of Stanford, Cedars-Sinai, they're doing a bunch of real clinical reports. The problem is the FDA has relaxed they've abdicated their role as a scientific proof point organization. And so they've just let any testing company come through the door. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that see big dollar signs in selling these tests, but these tests are going to give you information that is going to paralyze you because you're not going to be able to ascertain what the hell it means.
Got it.
So in about 5 weeks, we're going to have tests that have been clinically validated. What the FDA has done is said these tests are chemically validated. But you really need to do is, just by way of brief example, if you have a symptom or you think you've had COVID and you get the test, the question is if you get the test too soon, it won't show up. So when should you get the test is a question that we haven't answered yet. And then if you do have immunity, IgG immunity, how long does it last? Do you have durable immunity, or does it last for? So we have to really lean on science right now and let
So you're
science.
saying it's going to take a couple of months for us to really know, one, how to test this properly, two, what the long-term effects are, and
Yeah.
possible immunity.
Yeah, but that's true. But the truth is that 20 and 30-year-olds just they may get sick, super rare, and they may go to the hospital, super rare, but they don't die. And so I think we're going to start seeing a phased rollout of people going back to work. That if you've been known to have it, like you went to the hospital and got out, you can go back to work if you're feeling well. And then all these younger people that are just chomping at the bit and kicking in the stall on spring break, like some of them should be able to go out. We need to protect the old people and the people who are not healthy. And that's a lot of people on this call.
And
You
that's
need
the way
to
to
know
do
that
it.
you have a little bit of a rest. If you have a fasting insulin level that's high, that means you have a baseline inflammation in your bloodstream, and COVID will totally take advantage of that. So how many people know what their fasting insulin levels are on this call? So we
Hey,
need to
all this was really important. Again, people want to find your report. Where do they go?
jordansdispatch.com. And I
And
will
it's
be
inside the chat right now. Hey, good luck in New York. And Jordan, thanks a lot for hanging out with us.
Of course, anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right. I like that anytime, because I'll take you up on that. I really will. And again, Daniel Kraft, I think you're here. Thank you so much for bringing us Jordan to our metal family, because he's a class act.